The Messerschmitt Bf 109 was the iconic German fighter of World War II, and along with the Focke-Wulf 190, was the backbone of the Luftwaffe fighter force. It was first used in the Spanish Civil War in 1937, and even stayed in use until the dawn of the jet age, near the end of World War II in 1945. At its most basic, the essence of the Bf 109 was to take the smallest feasible airframe, and attach to it the most powerful engine possible. It was designed by Willy Messerschmitt and Robert Lusser, who worked at Bayerische Flugzeugwerk during the early to mid-1930s. It was one of the most advanced fighters when it first appeared, with an all-metal monocoque construction, a closed canopy, and retractable landing gear. At the time of the Bf 109's creation, relations between Britain and Germany were still good. Early models were therefore powered by a British engine, the Rolls-Royce Kestrel. The prototype that flew in 1935 was the world's first low-wing, retractable wheels, all-metal monoplane fighter, a basic design subsequently used by all sides during World War II. In November 1937, a Bf 109 reached a speed of 379.38 miles per hour, breaking the high-speed record for a land plane. It was the fastest military plane in the sky for 6 years, until another German plane, the Focke-Wulf 190, supplanted it. With nearly 34,000 manufactured between 1936 and 1945, the Bf 109 was the most produced fighter aircraft in history. The design had flaws, such as a cramped cockpit, a poor rear view, and a narrow undercarriage that rendered ground handling hazardous to inexperienced pilots. Moreover, small size translated into limited fuel capacity, reducing its range, which proved problematic during the Battle of Britain, when Bf 109s were typically limited to 15 minutes worth of fighting over Britain, before dwindling fuel forced them to disengage and fly back home. The 109's range was severely limited by its small fuel capacity, and its closely set landing gear was prone to ground looping and collapse on muddy fields, a deficiency that cost the Luftwaffe dearly. In addition to the interceptor and escort role for which it had been originally designed, the 109 was sufficiently adaptable to serve in other roles, including ground attack, fighter bomber, and reconnaissance. The basic concept of small airframe married to a big engine proved successful, allowing as it did for progressive upgrades, as more powerful engines became available, and allowing the Bf 109 to remain competitive throughout the war. The adaptable design allowed the plane to progress from the 109D model in 1939, with a top speed of 320 miles per hour, to the 109K model at war's end, capable of 452 miles per hour. The 109s were armed with one 20mm cannon, firing through the propeller shaft, and two 13mm machine guns, in the engine cowling. Additional cannons could be carried in pods under the wings. The initial production models up to Series D were powered by the relatively low-powered Junkers Jumo 210 series engines. During that period, fuel-injected Daimler-Benz DB601 engines in the 1000 horsepower range had become available, resulting in the Bf 109E, which was armed with two wing-mounted 20mm automatic cannons, and two machine guns in the engine cowling. More than a third of all 109s built were the 109G series, 12,000 units being manufactured from March 1943, until the end of the war. Many of the Bf 109E's fiercest fights took place against British planes, in particular, the Spitfire and the Hawker Hurricane. These two planes were the best the British had, for much of the war, and made up the largest part of their fighter fleet during the Battle of Britain. The Bf 109E won many fights against both Spitfires and Hurricanes. This was possible due to two main advantages. One was that it carried cannons, while the early British warplanes had only machine guns, firing rifle-caliber bullets. As a result, the Bf-109E had a better range, and caused more destruction than its opponents. It was faster than the Spitfire at high altitude, could dive more rapidly, and carried a more effective armament of 2 cannon, and 2 machine guns. Most 109 pilots had more combat experience than their RAF counterparts, at least at first, which also conferred a major advantage. However, the 109 did not have the range to fly beyond London, and carried only 7 seconds worth of cannon ammunition, which limited its operational usefulness. The Luftwaffe started the battle with about 1,100 Bf-109s, and 906 pilots available. Some 650 aircraft were shot down in Battle of Britain. The Bf-109 was flown by the 3 top-scoring fighter aces of all time, who claimed 928 victories among them, mainly on the Eastern Front. The war's top ace Erich Hartmann flew more than 1,400 missions in the Messerschmitt Bf-109, enabling him to score an astonishing 352 victories. The 109 was the only fighter, aside from the Spitfire, that was deployed in front-line service at wars beginning in 1939, and remained effective and competitive against newer fighters, until war's end. The 109 was such a versatile fighter, that it remained in use by other countries, well after the war. The Spanish built their own, while the Israelis bought Bf-109s, and used them in combat in 1948. In a moment of stark irony, a Nazi-designed plane was used to defend the Jewish homeland. Please subscribe and support the channel, if you like the video. Many thanks for watching.